If you like what we do here on Skiba News Nation, please like and subscribe, and also share with others so we can grow the biggest truth-seeking community on the internet. Huge shout out to all of our Patreons out there. If you like bonus content, you want some extra Skiba News Nation stuff, please go to patreon.com/Skiba News Nation.
Welcome to Skiba News Nation, bringing you unfiltered views, news, interviews, discussions, and more. And now, here's your host, Jeremiah Skiba, award-winning musician and son of Rob Skiba.
With the son of the legendary Rob Skiba. Jeremiah Skiba, what's up?
With my great and insightful co-host, Mr. Jake Graham.
Dude, so much you do conspiracy news. It would be 10 times better than what you see on television.
It's like I don't even want to wake up.
He's on a quest for truth.
Something huge is coming. We're building the world's largest truther convention. It's called TrutherCon.
This is the place where truthers unite to explore knowledge, ask tough questions, to challenge the mainstream narrative.
But it isn't just a convention. It's a movement for free thought, open discussion, and the right to question everything.
We are bringing in some of the biggest names of the truther community, so expect deep discussions, mind-blowing revelations, and connections with like-minded truth seekers.
If you feel like the truth is being hidden from you, this is where you need to be.
And the best part, it's 100% grassroots, built by truthers for truthers, straight from our Skiba News Nation family. TrutherCon will be a massive networking event. I believe this is going to be the most exciting truther event ever.
October 2025 in Dallas, Texas. We hope to see you there. Hey Skiba News Nation family, welcome to episode 134 of Skiba News Nation, your weekly source for the latest news, controversial topics, conspiracies, forgotten history, and so much more. I'm your host Jeremiah Skiba, and today we'll be talking about man found dead at Burning Man. Was Cracker Barrel just a massive distraction? Agenda 2025. Some claim 2032 will be the end of the world. Trump sending aid to Chicago. Transgender School Shooter Manifesto. War on the Cartel. An all-new Opus Corner. This week for History's Mysteries, we'll be talking about the Betz Mystery Sphere. Was it man-made, alien-made, or a UFO? Volume 24 of Please Excuse My Sense of Humor, Memes, and much more. As always, my great and insightful co-host, partner in crime, Mr. Jake Graham. Welcome, Jake.
Hey, Jeremiah. How you doing, man?
Doing good. What's been up, man?
I am just getting stoked for TrutherCon coming up very, very soon. And if you guys are new to our show, go and check out truthercon.com because this conference is one that you're not going to want to miss. And I know I'm stoked for it. How about you, Jeremiah? We've been cooking up some amazing ideas lately for, you know, some cool promotional stuff and all the speakers we've been talking to that are going to be there.
I think it's been a lot of, it's sleepless nights, but it's fun sleepless nights. It's very hard to explain. It's like, I might look tired on the show. I have more energy this week, but I may have looked tired the last couple episodes because I haven't slept a lot because I've been doing a lot of work with TrutherCon and you know, Lindsay's a big help and now she's back in school and everything, but me and Jake are coming up with some pretty epic ideas on how we can promote it in Dallas, so we just we might have to film it for you guys. So
yeah,
so there's a lot of crazy things happening in the news. You want to get started?
Let's get into it, guys.
Let's do it.
All right, coming up this Sunday, we have this massive sighting event, Blood Moon Spectacle, September 2025. So go out and look, you know. All right, you're gonna have to look up your exact time to see this, but you know, these celestial signs in the sky are part of a video that we're going to look at today, and he brings up the concept of 2025. And I know people in the scriptural prophetic eschatology community, we're always paying attention to these signs in the sky because we were told that they foretell, they forewarn, they were given to kind of precede certain events that come on the world. And so being watchmen and paying attention, whether or not you understand what it really means, sometimes it's at least fun to get out there with the family and, you know, watch these proofs of an almighty creator putting these amazing alignments in our sky. I mean, just the odds of everything lining up to create these shows for mankind in this cyclical fashion, I think is just part of the handiwork of the creator pointing to the creator. All right, guys. Well, there's some crazy stuff going on in the world. It's pretty interesting, but a little while ago, I didn't get to cover this. There was a man found dead right at the beginning of the Burning Man festival, ceremonial aspect of the Burning Man ceremony. It's interesting that they found some guy in a sacrificial pool of blood, basically.
Authorities are investigating a man's death at Burning Man as a homicide. Pershing County Sheriff's deputies say they found the man Saturday night right as the Burning Man was starting to burn. They say he was lying in a pool of his own blood. It's still not clear what happened to him. Authorities say this is a complicated investigation because the entire area will be cleared out within days. We'll share updates as we get them here on Fox 5.
So, Jeremiah, I was interested in that because you cover so much true crime in your investigatory histories, mysteries segment. And I think Burning Man could be a very interesting, topic regarding this particular murder. Because think of it this way. What a perfect place to get away with something where you have thousands of people all in one location from all over the world.
Yep. And no cameras, no witnesses. They're all high. I mean, perfect place for a murder.
I hear a History's Mysteries real time coming into being as we discuss this, Jeremiah.
I'll have to add it to the list for sure. I heard another lady had a baby. She didn't know she was pregnant, and she had a baby the same day. So, kind of odd. Burning Man's always made me feel weird.
It sounds like they were doing a ritual to birth Satan into the world, and they were successful. Oh, gosh.
Never know.
Oh, man. Yeah, how do you not know you're pregnant? Go to a rave festival and
that was Lindsay's question. She was like, how did she not know she was pregnant? Stupid.
All right, we're gonna have to look into that. Check back with us some other time, guys, or if you have any more information on this interesting connection we're making real time, please leave it in the comments below. Hey, check out this next video, guys. We were covering a lot recently the concept of the change of the Cracker Barrel logo and how it seems to be all over the news. And I called it in our coverage of it. I was like, guys, there's a reason this is being shoved everywhere. And I think there's something to it. Well, check this out.
Oh, that Cracker Barrel was a psyop, right? Right? I mean, just think about it. How important is this logo where the old timer is there, if he's not there, if it's racist, if it's not racist? Who gives a f really? Like, why does this matter in society, and why is everybody paying attention to it? I even posted this earlier this week saying Cracker Barrel is a psyop, but not only that, it's actually a distraction as well. But from what you ask, well, did you know that Bill Gates of hell had a secret meeting at the White House with Trump? What the hell is going on? Now, reports say the discussion was focused on the values of the U.S. global health programs and the role of the U.S. research in saving lives. Yeah, because that's what the f you do, right? Can anybody tell me why a guy who's made his success from computers and programs is in our healthcare system, in our food system. He owns a ton of farmland, just to name a few. Hopefully this is a situation where he's bowing down to Trump, trying to get some government funding, kissing the ring, because the latter wouldn't be that good, because hopefully he's not even entertaining this piece of shit right here. Not to mention, while we're distracted with the Cracker Barrel thing as well, our financial system is changing right before our very eyes, where the US Treasury buys back its debt for $1.4 billion, totaling over $7 billion in 2 weeks. I'm not an expert or anything, but that can't be good. And that financial flip I'm talking about, yeah, it's going into crypto, because XRP has just launched a credit card with the exchange Gemini. You mean to tell me where we can spend our crypto at the point of sale into fiat in real time and get rewards back? And nobody knew, nobody flinched at all. But we were all worried about a place that I've never ate at. I don't know if you guys ever ate here, but they even switched the logo back to the original logo after it was all said and done. PSYOP. Make sure you guys get into my Break the Matrix community, link in bio, but let me know what you guys think about all this down below. You guys do know.
And in other news that we likely were being distracted from, check this out.
The FDA recently revoked the emergency use authorizations for 3 COVID vaccinations while simultaneously greenlighting 4 new COVID-19 with 2025 and 2026 formulas.
Before I get into the reason why I'm making this video, I want to go over just a few things that the government knows about you. They know every text you've ever sent in the NSA. They know your exact location at every single moment. They know exactly what you have bought at the grocery store. They know your internet search history, even on your phone. They know how fast you drove to work if you went a mile over. They know exactly what's in your pockets at the airport with the TSA, exactly down to a piece of gum. They know every penny that you owe in taxes, every social media rant that you have, every word that they use. That's why they censor. They know everything you've ever streamed on Netflix. The list goes on and on and on and on. So you remember during COVID when they knew exactly how many people, how many cases, you know, like 33 here and there, every single person that was sick, how many people were dying of COVID, right? Celebrities, politicians, when they got the cold, we all knew about it. So knowing all of that, do you think it's possible that the government might just know how many people have died suddenly from the COVID-19? How many people are having massive medical conditions right now because of the COVID-19? Yeah, I do too. So knowing that, why would this be happening right now?
What I will tell you is that the FDA recently revoked the emergency use authorizations for 3 COVID vaccinations while simultaneously greenlighting 4 new COVID-19 with 2025 and 2026 formulas. The reason for the revocation of that emergency use authorization is because obviously the COVID pandemic and the public health emergency is over. But just to correct the record, because there's been a lot of misinformation on this, the FDA's decision does not affect the availability of COVID for Americans who want them. We believe in individual choice. That's a promise both the president and the secretary have made, and it's a promise they have now delivered on.
So you know the reason why she's emphasizing freedom, that we all have the freedom, is because she knows that it's wrong deep down. That's why she's saying that. Because if it's all in the name of freedom, then all of these things that I mentioned here, shouldn't all those things go away? Because we don't have the choice there. And remember, these are the same tyrants that will ban games like jarts, lawn darts, because of safety, not mRNA because of blood clots to millions and millions of Americans. So yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. I get these messages from people like, what are we going to do? Nothing. Just get right with God. Pray, study, serve. The only thing that is real is Jesus. And just be grateful for life. That's all we can do. And don't take.
All right, guys. What are your thoughts so far on the distraction of the changing logo and some of these things that are being pushed through currently?
I think there's been a lot of distractions, but I think the Cracker Barrel one was something that we even got caught up in with the lives, and you know, like, it just so it makes you interested, but then they're just pushing it upon us, like they're making us look the other way. But I did hear something recently, and I don't know where I heard this, and maybe it was on Truth Social, but Trump said like he regretted Operation Warp Speed, which was the C word, V word, you know, back then. And I thought that that was very interesting that he was lied to. He said I think that's what the True Social post said. I'll have to find it. But he was like, I hope these people were being honest with me, because, I mean, as the president, you can't know everything.
Exactly. I think it's really interesting to see in hindsight what played out during those days, and then all the information comes out for the everyday person to see that there was something actually going on being used to manipulate the public opinion. For example, if you don't remember how they acted, let me just remind you.
Bien. Regardez. Vous voulez prier? Bien, mesdames et messieurs. Le résultat de ce second tour a démenti tous les sondages et déjoué tous les pronostics. Ce soir, j'ai gagné et nous avons gagné.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I got the N95. I'm way superior to all these other politicians. I'm the guy with the diaper baby mask.
And there's still people that do that. That's the crazy part. There are still people that put it on, and every time I see one of those people, sometimes I go, Achoo! Like I do a fake sneeze, and they freak out. I might be messed up for doing that, but hey,
you know,
some entertainment.
When I was in Japan many years ago, back in the 70s, 80s, there were people wearing masks there too, because you know, the pollution in Tokyo was so bad, and people had problems with breathing all that toxic air. But they were, and also, you know, people worried about getting sick. But this was going on at least in Japan long before COVID.
I think it's interesting as the old emergency use authorization is phased out, which in fact keeps anybody who has some kind of adverse reaction from seeking financial compensation, because it was emergency, you know, greenlit. So anything experimental that happened to have happened to you is expected. So that's how they want kind of it to roll right off your shoulders. Don't you know these other three that they just approved? You might want to look into those too. And I think it was interesting that he called out in the video that it's Marjorie Taylor, right? Or what's the reporter's name?
Caroline Levitt.
Yeah, you can tell that Levitt is like, in a kind of a veiled way, like, we really believe in choice. So, you know, maybe it's just like they're being forced to announce these programs because if they don't, even if they don't personally believe in this, you know, they have to, you know, play ball. Which is an alarming in and of itself, because even this righteous administration that's clearing swamp has to play ball. It's almost as if they sold their soul. Check out this next clip from Jason A. Fantastic compilation, just came out today. Check this out.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
He forged the Abraham Accords. He's forging peace as we speak, in one country, in one region after the other. So I want to present to you, Mr. President, the letter I sent to the Nobel Prize Committee. It's nominating you for the Peace Prize, which is well deserved, and you should get it.
Thank you very much. This I didn't know. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming from you in particular, this is very meaningful. Thank you very much, Bibi.
Now, this is something President Trump has often spoken about over the years as an honor he believes he's deserving of.
That's very nice, thank you. That's very nice. Nobel.
I think I'm going to get a Nobel Prize for a lot of things if they gave it out fairly, which they don't.
You hear from the Israelis. They will never give me a Nobel Peace Prize.
What would happen? What would happen if they really?
I deserve it, but they will never give it to me.
Gaza in ruin and West Bank being on a daily basis attacked, the perspective of a Palestinian state has never been put at risk as it is.
Allegedly married to a man.
And the objective of a recognition is not just making our duty, but this is as well reopening a political perspective and refusing just an answer based on security. And this is why the solution of the two states and the recognition of the state of Palestine is as well, according to me, the only way to build peace and stability for all in the whole region.
Everybody understands that there is a risk there will be no Palestine left to recognise unless the international community work together towards two states.
In just a few weeks, the world will watch a procession of world leaders take to this stage to speak to the UN General Assembly. But this year, the familiar face of Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas will likely be missing, along with 80 members of his delegation after the Trump administration denied their visas.
Where you're serving now at the United Nations in New York, there is going to be an awful lot going on at the UN General Assembly. A number of American allies, Israeli allies, are saying that they are going to recognize a Palestinian state. This is from French President Emmanuel Macron saying, our determination to ensure that the Palestinian people have a state is rooted in our belief that a lasting peace is essential to the state of Israel's security. Do these states recognizing a Palestinian state further the cause for the creation of a Palestinian state, or does it hinder it?
Gerald, there will be no Palestine left if this doesn't happen.
These are slogans that many political leaders around the world are now adopting, and it really shows a very shallow understanding of the history of the reality. There are 4 or 5 million Palestinians, people who identify themselves as Palestinian Arabs, and it's important to understand that the term Palestine came about roughly 2,000 years ago when the Romans used that term in order to destroy or to erase the history of the Jewish people. And then it was basically rekindled by the British back in around 1917 during the Mandate period, when these were all foreign occupiers. These Palestinian Arabs, there were Palestinian Jews and Palestinian Arabs at the time. And now the world has this concept of Palestinians, of a Palestine that never existed as an independent Arab state of any kind, and they themselves don't want an independent state. What majority of Palestinians, certainly the political leaders, whether it's Hamas or whether it's Mahmoud Abbas from the PLO and from the Fatah organization, what they want to do is see the end of Israel. Yep. And that has been the goal since 1947.
Of the 193 nations that make up UNGA, 147 already recognize Palestine as a state. But this year at the UN, at least 4 close allies to the U.S. have promised to do the same.
Canada intends to recognize the state of Palestine,
France, Australia, and the United Kingdom. And there could be more, according to the PA.
Then we will be getting very close to 160 states recognizing the state of Palestine, which means for those who are still the very few who are not convinced yet, how many more do you need from states that do recognize the state of Palestine and do believe in the implementation of the two states concept?
At its founding, the U.S. signed on to the UN Headquarters Agreement, which the UN spokesman points out.
Headquarters Agreement deserves to be read, notably, I think, sections 11 and 12. We obviously hope that this will be resolved. It is important that all member states, permanent observers, be able to be represented.
Despite the move, the world will likely see more leaders embrace Palestine as a state, even if its recognized leader won't be the one attending.
A split-screen moment in the Middle East tonight as Israel says they are going to begin ceasefire negotiations with Hamas. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying he is willing to restart talks in exchange for hostages being released. But Israel has already launched a high-stakes ground offensive in Gaza. Protests erupting both inside Israel and in the Gaza Strip today as calls for an end to the fighting are growing louder and louder. NBC's Matt Bradley is in Tel Aviv with the latest.
An interesting message from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu this evening. He said in a video that was released to the public and that appeared to be shot while he was visiting the Gaza Brigade, those soldiers fighting in the Gaza Strip, that he was grateful for those reservists who had been called up, and we've been seeing them called up in the tens of thousands in the past day. And he said that he was going to be moving ahead with negotiations to end the war and free those remaining hostages. Now, that is a different statement from what we've been hearing over the past couple of days. And so far, all we've heard is these comments saying that there would be no deal unless it was the final deal. Now it looks as though Benjamin Netanyahu may be prepared to negotiate on these latest terms. But again, we've been seeing this for much of the past 2 years. Negotiations surrounded by optimism that have risen sky high, only to come crashing down. And with Benjamin Netanyahu rolling tanks into the center of Gaza Strip, it's unlikely there will be any breakthrough with this latest round.
Yeah, but you know, technically you can argue that maybe if you wanted to stretch the truth, which they like to do, you can probably come to that conclusion. But realistically, think about the tinderbox that President Trump inherited, North Korea, the Middle East, and what did he leave us with? He left us with a country that was prosperous, a world that was borderline on a global prosperity. He left us with the premier of North Korea meeting him at the border. He left us with the Abraham Accords. I mean, there is no question. There is no question that what we have witnessed are miracles. And let's not fool ourselves. There is something going on here.
Yeah, that moment he looks down and receives the certificate of the one awarded to present the peace treaty between Israel and the world, or the Arab nations. Part of me wonders sometimes if world leaders don't have schizophrenic moments where they're like, holy cow, I read that in the book of Revelation, and they're just an everyday guy, and they're just like, you know what I mean? And
Good morning, citizens of Ireland. I'm here today outside the office of the Taoiseach and Taoiseach, where we are over 200 days into the formation of current government. In these times, this government has cost us our peace of mind, our security, our hope for the future, and the general well-being of Irish citizens nationwide has decreased dramatically, whereby we have seen the homelessness of Irish children risen to levels unprecedented, proving this government's refusal to abide by and respect our proclamation, and where all children of Ireland are to be cherished. Instead, our children abandoned. This incompetent failure of future generations has been accompanied with an intense influx of mass migration into an already severed system. Our tourism has sharply declined, while danger on our streets has risen. Ireland, as a master of martial combat, a solution-driven man, you will hear me speak on a problem but once, then it is action towards solution. I urge all our citizens to be of the same. Today, Ireland, I am outside these gates of these appointed officials, but as your head of state, you empower me to enter these buildings on your behalf. A president face to face with government officials with only one priority: to ensure that the country our founding fathers gave their life for is strictly adhered to on behalf of its citizens. Ireland, under my tenure, the will of the people will be heard. Ireland, under my tenure, we will return important articles of our Constitution prior, and thus again aligning with Padraig Pearse's proclamation, in that we declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland, and to the unfettered control of Irish destinies, to be sovereign and indefeasible Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and of the dead generations from which she receives her old tradition of nationhood. Ireland, through us, summons her children to her flag and strikes for her freedom. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen.
I think it's interesting all of these things happening right now, because in another video I'm about to show you, there's some interesting celestial alignments. I mentioned the blood moon coming up, but Agenda 2025 has been achieved, and the change in the world that has begun this year is unprecedented, and it will affect everything. So check out Agenda 2025.
All other human beings is a story as old as time. The lust to control other human beings is a story as old as time. There's a very strong drift in the direction of globalization, of the ultimate centralization of control in the hands of unelected officials at supranational organizations.
They want all of the resources of the world in their pocket.
The bigger picture is that an attempt is underway now to collapse liberal democracy and replace it with global technocracy.
This is a coup. They're saying we can control with rules. We don't need currency anymore.
It's like an inverted prison. You are supposedly free to roam about, but everything you want to access is behind lock and key.
The potential for social control is gigantic and potentially irreversible.
They plan to commandeer land, reduce farming, and radically change the food we eat, transform the supply of electricity, and then dictate how we use it, and replace currency with a system of credits.
All three strategies are built on the premise of a climate crisis caused by carbon dioxide.
I do not think there's a climate crisis, and I base that on all the evidence and the climate data sets that we build to answer questions just like that.
Well, Agenda 2025, right? How does total control and Georgia Guidestones-like rules get implemented today? Well, infrastructure has to be built first. And did you know that that infrastructure is going to be built for AI? And just as we've had the carrot of AI being dangled in front of our faces for a while now, it is so good, so beautiful. Satan sometimes comes dressed as an angel of light. Check this out.
Intelligence, I find that around the globe everyone is talking about artificial intelligence. I find that too artificial. I can't stand it. I don't even like the name. You know, I don't like anything that's artificial. So could we straighten that out, please? We should change the name. I actually mean that. I don't like the name artificial anything, because it's not artificial. It's genius. It's pure genius. Stargate. Put that name down in your books, because I think you're going to hear a lot about it in the future. A new American company that will invest $500 billion at least in AI infrastructure.
The data centers are actually under construction. The first of them are under construction in Texas, the Abilene location, which is our first location.
Abilene is a town on the western central plains of Texas. We kind of scratch and fight for everything good that comes our way.
I had people reaching out and they said, well, is the president going to come see you? And I said, well, he hasn't texted me yet, so.
I'm thrilled we get to do this in the United States of America. I think this will be the most important project of this era.
Welcome to Abilene, Texas. This is the site of Project Stargate, a very mysterious, much talked about, much speculated about project that brings together OpenAI, SoftBank, Oracle. If it all comes together, building after building on this red dirt behind me will be filled with chips that'll power the AI revolution.
What we're undergoing right now is sort of the largest infrastructure build in human history. It's going to create new ways of doing business, it's going to create new ways of invention, and it's going to really drive humanity.
Ooh, very, very interesting. And this has all really been set into motion this year? All right, guys. Well, I've been mentioning it a few times, but here is an interesting celestial correlation. And now, you might not subscribe to everything this gentleman purports, but you have to admit that the patterns of cyclical things that are also tied to the nation-state of Israel, also tied to this time period in human history, and the things in the heavens, and the warnings that we have of the signs in the heavens in the book of Revelation, that this just might catch your attention.
Greetings, my brothers and sisters in Christ. This is Bob Barber here with your next Rapture Resurrection report. The report that focuses on unique data that points to the soon Rapture Resurrection event. So if information like this is important to you, you need to hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss any new reports that we have coming out. Family, in today's report, we are going to be talking about a time frame that we are in right now that is confirmed by the Essenes in Qumran over 2,000 years ago. You know who the Essenes are. They were the ultimate biblical theologians of all time outside of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. There's never been anybody better than them. They are responsible for the Dead Sea Scrolls that we have today, so enough said there. And according to the Dead Sea Scrolls and other archaeological finds that have been found dating back to the Essenes in Qumran over 150 years before Jesus' earthly ministry, and all of their predictions came true with 100% accuracy of events that have happened 2,000 years in the past and even until today here in 2025. And today we're going to be talking about what is ahead of us here shortly that the Essenes in Qumran have predicted, and a celestial sequence that God has shown us that confirms the Essenes predictions for 2025 and the return of Jesus Christ in 2032.
Ancient Essenes, the inhabitants of Qumran. Now, lots of people, they know the Essenes from the Dead Sea Scrolls that were discovered there in the 1940s. What they don't know, and by the way, this has only been unearthed in the last 50 years, archaeologists have also recovered prophecies that the Essenes made, that the Essenes made, and even material that illustrates who the Essenes were. 150 years before the birth of Jesus Christ, the Essenes began prophesying about the first advent of the coming of the Messiah. They said that he would come at a time when a king named Herod would be a king and he would turn evil.
Now, if you're confused, he said King Herod, who is King Herod. Now listen to what Tom Horn says here about the coming Messiah, Jesus Christ, according to the Essenes.
They said he would die in the year 32 AD, which is what scholars believe exactly happened. They said he will die not only for Jewish people, but he will be sacrificed for the Gentiles as well, and give birth to an age of grace that would extend for a period of 2,000 years. The list literally goes on and on. We're going to produce a documentary film in 2021 about all of this. But why am I bringing this all up now? Because they also prophesied this, that mankind, now this was over 2,000 years ago, these highly accurate prophets called the Essenes who lived in Qumran, they predicted that mankind will enter its final age. Guess when? In the year 2025. They predicted that mankind will enter its final age. Guess when? In the year 2025. There are a massive amount of indicators that 2025 is a pivotal year that the world needs to be paying attention to.
The final age, they said. What is the final age? It's Daniel's 70th week, the 70th tribulation. Well, it turns out God has orchestrated a celestial sequence that confirms everything that I've told you so far in this video. There is an asteroid called Qumran. Its technical name is 52301.
Qumran, it's literally called Qumran?
1991 RQ2.
Qumran.
Interesting name, Qumran, which is obviously a representation of the Essenes in Qumran. Make the connection. We have discovered this asteroid called Qumran, and when I say we, I mean Brother Ronnie from Metanoia Mine, who is often on the Watchmen for That Great Day YouTube channel. I will put the link in the description box below. They have been doing massive celestial studies on everything I'm about to show you. He discovered that the Qumran asteroid enters into the Leo constellation, and guess what day and year? May 14th, 1948. The exact day and year of Israel's rebirth. And it remains in the Leo constellation for 3.5 years, and then in 1951 it breaks that retrograde motion and heads into the Virgo constellation right next door, where it remains there for another 3.5 years. So it has a 7-year celestial traveled cycle between the Leo constellation and the Virgo constellation. Okay? Are you following me so far? Now, when it finishes this celestial cycle, what does it do? It restarts the whole cycle all over again. In 1955, the Qumran asteroid returned to the Leo constellation from which it came. It goes into a retrograde motion inside Leo again for 3.5 years, and then after that, in 1958, it breaks free of that retrograde motion once again and travels back to the Virgo constellation, where it goes into a retrograde motion for another 3.5 years. And once it completes that 3.5 years, cycle 2 is complete in 1961. 2 completed 7-year cycles. And then it returns to the Leo constellation and starts this whole thing all over again, where it will go into the 3rd cycle. Now, why am I showing you these cycles? Why is this important? Well, this asteroid continues going back and forth, 7-year cycle after 7-year cycle, and get this, folks, it runs a total of 12 7-year cycles from May 14th, 1948 until May 14th of, you're not going to believe this, 2032. The projected year of the end of the 7-year tribulation, Daniel's 70th week, and Jesus' second coming to the earth. Now ask yourself, why is it only 12 cycles, not 14 or 7? Because 12 is the number of government. And what God is showing us here is that prophecy is about to come to a turning point in 2032 with the end of human government. It is confirming the beginning of Daniel's 70th week beginning this year. And of course, if that's the case, then the pre-tribulation rapture takes place right before it. And I know we're in a high watch for the Feast of Trumpets on the 22nd, 23rd of this year. So if you're excited about that, you need to watch this next part. Check it out. What you're looking at right here is the total 12 7-year cycles from 1948 until 2032. I know it's hard to read, but we will zoom in on it the best we can. But the main thing I want you to focus on are the areas highlighted in blue. These areas represent when the Qumran asteroid breaks its normal pattern during its 7-year cycle. I'll explain. When we reach the 4th cycle starting in 1968, a year after the 6-Day War, very interesting, it starts off in the Lion, and then it heads into the Virgo constellation, the Revelation 12 sign constellation, in 1972, like it normally does 3.5 years later. Now, if it's stuck to its regular pattern, it will stay in the Revelation 12 sign Virgo constellation for 3.5 years, and then return to the Leo constellation. But that doesn't happen here. In fact, it ends up staying in the Virgo constellation for a total of 14 years in the Revelation 12 sign till 1986. Now, a lot of things happened during this 14 years. We'll get into that in a little bit. And then in 1986, going into 1987, the Qumran asteroid returned finally back to the Leo constellation, and it went back into its regular retrograde motion, jumping back and forth from the Leo constellation to the Virgo constellation every 3.5 years. And it continued this pattern until the year 2018. Now, this is when it gets really exciting. Check this out. The Qumran asteroid entered the Virgin constellation Virgo in 2018 and is going to remain in this constellation for another 14-year period like it did before, like I just showed you back in the 1970s and 80s, and now is happening again. It started in 2018, like I said, and guess what year this 14-year period ends? On May 14th in 2032. Once again, big year, which is our current projection for the return of Jesus Christ end to end.
Okay, so obviously people have been predicting the return of Christ for a long time, and this guy definitely has a strong opinion on 2032. I do find the information about the asteroid, which is in a way a minor wandering star in the similar way as Jupiter and Venus and Neptune, all these other wandering stars are the only wanderers in the night sky, while everything else. So anyways, long story short, I just think the information and the time periods of this asteroid called Qumran, and it's located in Virgo and Leo, just a very significant location if you know some other celestial signs that were called out in the heavens in the book of Revelation, Revelation 12 sign, for example. All of these seem to have slight correlations, and because I'm such a fan of the stars and I'm constantly trying to figure out this puzzle of what is the message of the heavens for mankind, because it's a knowledge that's been lost to the patriarchs had it back in the scripture, and yet now it's a time where there's no more magi on the earth who show up to drop off gold, frankincense, and myrrh, if you know what I mean. But we can be pattern recognizers, and we can look in this mathematic equation of when these celestial things happen in correlation with real-time world events and see if there is any correlation. And of course, I might just be crazy, but that's for you to decide, I guess. Hey, this next topic is very interesting. You saw it happen in Washington, D.C. Well, now Donald Trump is sending the National Guard to the streets of Chicago to get those boys under control. There's been too many shootings. So, check this out.
Well, we're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in. When you lose, look, I have an obligation. This isn't a political thing. I have an obligation. When we lose, when 20 people are killed over the last 2.5 weeks, and 75 are shot with bullets. So let me tell you a little story about a place called D.C., District of Columbia, right here where we are. It's now a safe zone. We have no crime. It's in such great shape. You can go and actually walk with your children, your wife, your husband. You can walk right down the middle of the street. You're not going to be shot, Peter. You're safe. Everyone likes you anyway. They probably wouldn't do it. But it's so dangerous, and there are people in this audience that you've suffered greatly. There are people in this audience that have been mugged and hurt badly, and they don't want to talk about it. Maybe you were very brave in talking about it. You made quite an impression on a lot of people. I appreciate it. But there were other people in this room that have been hurt very badly just walking down the street in D.C. Washington, D.C. is a safe zone right now. It's a safe city. The restaurants are open. They're booming. You can't get a restaurant. New restaurants are announcing that they're going to be open. This took place in 12 days. Now it's 15 days, but 3 days ago it became what's known as a safe zone. It's a safe city. And this city was really bad. Really, really bad. We took 1,600 people out, hardcore criminals that will not be coming back anytime soon. And we're very proud of it. You know, to have our nation's capital lose every week. You know, it was like years, many years, where every single week somebody was killed for many, many, many consecutive weeks. This went on for years. And then we had, last week it was announced that nobody was killed last week. And I made that announcement in front of a very distinguished leader of a country. And I'm saying proudly, ladies and gentlemen, nobody was killed in Washington, D.C. this week. He looked at me like, what's that all about? I say, yeah, we have a little bit of a crime problem, and we don't have a crime problem in Washington anymore. And the mayor has been very helpful, and the police commission has been very helpful, and it's been a great team. And I would love to have Governor Pritzker call me I'd gain respect for them and say we do have a problem.
All right, anyways, did you think that was interesting that they sent in and cleaned up the streets of the capital? Because it's super important. Because the capital of your nation represents how the rest of your nation is. And if you have people coming in and your capital city is like a terrible ghetto and people are shooting each other and it's nasty and dangerous and, man, yeah, it's just, what are your thoughts, Jeremiah?
I just think it's so funny that it's like right after we got back from DC is when all this happened. But there was like, I mean, we saw homeless people, but we were, I guess the Mossad was looking out for us for sure, because we were in some sketchy areas at night where they were saying some of this crime was happening. So I don't know. I didn't see any crime, but I didn't go in the subway system. But I don't doubt that it happens there. But I think it's pretty awesome that he's cleaning it up, and it's happening so quickly.
Yeah, it's a leadership by strength is what's very interesting. And why is it important? Because whenever you have all these demons running around wanting to shoot people, you got to have someone with a bigger stick ready to hit them in the face. And it's interesting because we had that recent church shooting from a trans-possessed individual, you could say. Check this video out.
Overt demonic activity I've ever seen chronicled in the national news. I've never seen anything like it. I'm going to show some disturbing images. This transgender dude, now remember, he's targeting Christian children. Look at the things that are written on the gun clips that he used to kill Christian children. So you got here, for the children. Go to the next one. He wrote on it, "Where is your God?" Okay. Go to the next one, "Israel must fall." So we're noticing a pattern here. Okay, this is a person who is feeling not gendered, non-binary, whatever you want to say. Interestingly, in the Bible, guess who is not gendered in the Bible? Angels and demons. They are non-binary. They are gender fluid. They're targeting children. They're targeting Christians. They're targeting the land and the lineage of the Lord. Well, this is starting to sound a little creepy. I wonder what's going on here. Go to the next one and look at what this dude was using for target practice. It's literally a picture of the crucified Lord. Now let's go a layer deeper because it gets a little creepier. This is the next one, is this drawing that he had in his notebook of him looking in a mirror with a demon looking back in the mirror, and then there's all this writing, and this is a translation of the writing, and the translation is, "Who? When will this end?" So you have a tortured person, an oppressed person. "Help me. I don't want to. Help." And then what's the demon say back? "Kill yourself. Kill." Listen, bro, sometimes the greatest argument for the existence of God and the truth of Christianity is the very obvious existence of demons. That's that right there. It's literally like somebody opened the Bible and went, what do demons do? And then they did that thing. So every Christian should see this stuff and we should go, hey man, I know exactly what that is. The book of Ephesians says, our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. And then it says, but greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. This is the...
Okay, guys, it is just so interesting that we're seeing a consistent pattern in these transgendered individuals doing these atrocities. And I think an element of it is the ideology of being somebody you're not, I think creates the perfect vessel for something to come in and tell you what you are, if you know what I mean. And it associates with what he was describing in terms of the demonic. Sometimes people manifest for themselves what they envision a demon would act like. And, you know, this guy obviously was troubled, and the chemicals in his brain, if he was a transitioning individual, you know, coming from a famous pharmaceutical company founded in Israel. But anyways, in another series of news, I thought this was really interesting, that the war on Cartel has been declared, and it seems very reminiscent of the war on terror that has allowed the United States to reach out its arm of interest into many numerous countries all across the earth. And now we're seeing them show up on the shores of Venezuela. So
my God, I actually pity those poor bastards we're going up against. My God, I do. We're not going to just meme those globalists. We're going to meme them till they cry and use their tears to grease the treads of our takes.
What's up, guys? Benny. I firmly believe that President Trump will win the Nobel Peace Prize for ending wars around the globe, whether it's Vietnam and Cambodia or India and Pakistan, de-escalation severely with Russia and Ukraine, Israel and Gaza, ends in sight for many conflicts around the globe. Just a phone call from President Trump can put things to rest. But President Trump has said we are at war with a very specific element, a narco-terrorist state known as Venezuela. President Trump saying this in his State of the Union speech.
The territory to the immediate south of our border is now dominated entirely by criminal cartels that murder, rape, torture, and exercise total control. They have total control over a whole nation, posing a grave threat to our national security. The cartels are waging war in America, and it's time for America to wage war on the cartels, which we are doing.
It's time for America to wage war on the cartels. Okay, I mean, I guess like the Democrats didn't like that.
The territory.
This is their biggest. These are their biggest funders, right? This is where they get their voters, right? So you know, why would you clap for that? We're not gonna. We should take out the cartels, Democrats.
That's hilarious.
The trolling will continue until morale improves. President Trump was serious about that threat. Now it seems as though there's some major military action that is about to take place against Venezuela. The Venezuelan communist dictator Maduro fires warning at Trump as U.S. forces amass around Venezuela. And what do you think about this? I haven't read into this very deeply. I guess we're all going to learn about this together. We've obviously covered quite extensively the war in Ukraine and the war in Gaza, and I'm very anti-American interventionism. I am anti-American boots on the ground in foreign nations. I don't like it. I don't want it. It's not what I'm going to ever advocate for on this channel. However, well, Venezuela is probably the single worst actor when it comes to the criminal enterprises here in the United States of America. And they're the largest operator of criminal gangs. Venezuelans, whenever there's a murder of a criminal alien, often there is a Venezuelan involved, like, for instance, in the murder of Laken Riley. This is a good example. The Laken Riley murder was a Venezuelan. But there's a huge criminal gang population called Tren de Aragua that is Venezuelan in their origin. It's a criminal gang from Venezuela that operates inside of the prison system of Venezuela. They're nasty, nasty people. Anyway, the point is that, well, let's read and find out what's going on. Are we going to war with Venezuela? What do you think about that? Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro warned that his country could not be invaded as the United States ramped up military presence in the southern Caribbean. There's no way that they can enter Venezuela, Maduro said, calling the U.S. deployment of multiple warships, a nuclear-powered submarine, and 45,000 troops a siege that only strengthens the government. A move part of the President Donald Trump's intensified anti-drug cartel operations sparked the most serious U.S.-Venezuela confrontation in years. Why it matters. The standoff signals Washington's growing willingness to project military force in Latin America under the banner of countering drug cartels while simultaneously putting pressure on the Maduro regime. For Venezuela, the deployment of reinforces Maduro's narrative of foreign aggression and allows him to...
Well, what do you guys think? Do you think this is a repeat on the old war on terror shtick to get us in everywhere, or is this simply defending American interests by shutting down the cartel in Venezuela? Which, by the way, is fairly close to the U.S., although, you know, if they started fighting the cartel over in, like, you know, Australia or something, I'd get even more suspicious. But What do you guys think?
I love Benny Johnson. I think he has great breakdowns. And yeah, I saw a video this morning of a cartel ship, and it was blown up by the U.S., and I thought that was very interesting. So I guess maybe the war has already started.
Hey, I mean, of all the cool wars that you could fight in, a war against like an ethereal, just drug lord bad guy, the cartel sounds like pretty cool. It's like an alien Borg name. It's like the war against the Borg, or the war against the
such as the Iraqs.
Such as the Iraqis? No. I mean, I think it's just because it's not a nation. It's not a location or a government. It's just a vague title, which to me is very War on Terror-esque. So anyways, somebody pointed out a really fascinating little chess piece thing that Donald Trump had done when he got elected with Melania, and some symbolic actions he took just to show the Democrats he was rubbing it in their nose. I thought it was a really interesting breakdown. Check this out.
So then he came out to the podium and he stood, and Melania has never done this, where she swings around in front of him and stands at that angle position. Remember, at the podium right in front of him? Yeah. And then the guy that came forward was from what? The King's unit? That's all chess play. So comes up, so it's checkmate. And what does he do in the military? My dad was in World War II, and so on his funeral they take the flag off of where it's flying. And he said, "Sir, this is the one that was flying over the Capitol as of today." Okay. The Capitol is D.C. Okay. Nice. We took it down, and they folded it in military uniform fold and handed it to the man who's over the family. Do you see?
Yeah. Wow.
Just like they do at a funeral, and it was the one over the Capitol. So all of this is significant.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
I'm proud to be an American.
Mr. President, on behalf of the United States Army, the Army Golden Knights, I would like to present to you this flag, which was flown over our nation's capital in free fall during the Army's 250th birthday celebration.
It's all chess play because the whole world's a stage, and a lot of people are trying to maneuver into their positions. And we don't know necessarily who's on which side, but we're definitely seeing a lot of flagging and symbolism and things that are to elicit a response. Look at Hollywood's take on it.
For your God, Babylon!
Good evening, godless sodomites.
Kneel before your God, Babylon!
Making me the highest paid megalomaniacal boy king in all of Babylon!
You see, if you go and visit the very home of the Oscars, where they hold it each year, you can see a plaque on the wall that says the Babylonian Court. The camera shows you the stage, and you see an unmistakable Tower of Babel embedded into the design. Outside of the Kodak Theater, you have the gates to Ishtar, and you have Babylonian gods put on the outside of the gate. They have the exact elephants. They have the same exact gate of Ishtar. They have the same exact Babylonian gods over the top of the gates.
Like, a lot of people come up here and they thank Jesus for this award. I want you to know that no one had less to do with this award than Jesus. He didn't help me a bit. So all I can say is, suck it, Jesus, this award is my God now!
I'm
thankful to the Oscar gods.
The other names of the gentlemen are all gods as far as the category concerned.
When you get this little golden statue, you become a star. In the Egyptian culture, they also had a little statue that represented the god Ptah. And see, when an Egyptian king died, it was believed that his spirit went into the belt of Orion, and he then became a star. Up until 1999, the Oscars was held at a building called The Shrine, which was founded by William Florence and Walter Fleming, two high-ranking Scottish Rite Freemasons. Hollywood has long been interested in Freemasonry. Gene Autry, John Wayne, Nat King Cole, Duke Ellington, C.C. DeMille, Clark Gable, Walt Disney, Oliver Hardy, you name it, the list goes on. Many celebrities have come out and admitted their connection to Freemasonry. You can see the checkered floor, you can see the archways, you can see the sun motif in the background. All of these are letting you know exactly who owns this organization. While the world is wandering after all of these celebrities, we would do well to heed the very advice from Jesus' lips himself. In Luke 4 verse 8 it says, "For it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only shalt thou serve."
It has been in front of our face this whole time, guys. No wonder, whether you care about what the heavens are doing or not, these people who think they're stars like to line up the things that they do according to the celestial bodies as well, and oftentimes they're all part of a Sikh club. I mean, look, it's Prince William and David Beckham right in front of London Freemason helicopter. Yes. All of these men who seem to be in these positions that make decisions and influence the youth and all this get in one big club, and then they play a show, a little play, just like Babylon wants you to, get up there and do a little performance for us. I love that some of those comedians went up there, and some of the best comedy is true, and so that's why when they're calling them out to their face and they're saying those jokes, you're like, oh wow, every single thing he said is probably not false entirely, right? So but I mean, it's deeper than that. It goes into the genealogy of the world leaders that rule the nations that play out in this narrative, this play on the world scene.
Fidel Castro is pure Iranian ancient bloodline, and he's directly descended from Pope Paul III. He is from the papal nobility family, and he's from the Dukes of Castro. And Pope Paul III had 3 sons, and he gave each of them a dukedom. The Duke of Castro, the Duke of Piacenza, which is a city in northern Italy. That's where Castro's father was born.
And you've done the genealogies.
Absolutely.
So far, these people have been very good in veiling the truth and hiding it, because the Rockefellers own the University of Chicago. The Russell Trust runs Yale University. All these bloodlines control information, scholarship, and every single aspect, and sciences, of course, almost every single aspect of our lives that shape our world.
And if you go back some more into the Bible, you will also find mention of a global genocide. And so this is basically the Jesuit embrace, enfold, extinguish. It's the secret history of the Jesuits. Fidel Castro is pure Iranian.
Why does this matter? Well, because when they think they're fulfilling some prophetic role, whether they are or aren't in terms of the biblical prophetic, people tend to do evil and terrible things. And so sometimes evil and terrible people also like to use the narratives that we already have to play out a script, because they like the end goal of whatever fear or dream or nightmare that we're telling, and they just play by the script that leads them to their end goal. But anyways, this last story of the day in terms of this hard-pressing news, and I have some more light stuff for meme segment this week, guys. But there was a terrible, terrible disaster in Sudan with over 1,000 people totally wiped out, almost an entire village. I think one person survived. Incredibly just terrible.
Says a landslide in western Darfur region has flattened an entire mountain village, killing more than 1,000 people. The disaster struck on Sunday after days of heavy rain, devastating the village of Terrasin in the Mara Mountains. The Sudan Liberation Movement, which controls the area, says there's just one survivor. It is appealing to the United Nations and other aid organizations for help recovering the dead. Well, let's bring in our correspondent Mohammed Aval, who is in Khartoum for us. These reports are coming in from a Sudanese armed group of at least 1,000 people dead, an entire village flattened. What more are we hearing?
Yes, Louisa, according to sources in the area, it's 1,000 people dead and an entire village buried under that landslide, except for one survivor. That's very...
So obviously terrible. Not only that, a race against time to reach Afghan quake survivors as death toll passes 1,400. So these are not tiny numbers, guys. These are like 1,000+ death earthquakes taking out massive villages, and this is a totally different area. This is Afghan, not Sudan. And this is happening too, right? And it's just, you know, a lot. We've seen a lot of these natural disasters, and it definitely seems to be an uptick of something causing either these adverse weather patterns or whatever could be, you know, to blame. I think it's signs of the times. We just read Matthew 24, right? It will really explicitly break down some of the bingo card elements you should be looking out for in your end times playbook. All right, guys, and one final piece of news to leave you on a little less like doom and gloom, death and demise. Temple, where Jesus performed miracles, is found in a huge breakthrough recently. So apparently this is an archaeological dig that is being associated with the miracles and life of Christ. Very interesting. That just came out recently, guys. All right, Jeremiah, that's all the news for this week. And this week I wanted to try something new. We have, well, over the past few years, we've wanted to see if anybody was interested in doing sponsorships, and I just wanted to give a brief call out there for any local businesses or anybody who would want to partner with Skiba News Nation to email us and let us know if you would like to do sponsorships with our episodes to help us support what we're doing. So just wanted to put that call out there. And now back to you, Jeremiah.
All right, thanks, Jake, for another great current news as always. And don't you guys go anywhere, because we still have a great Opus Corner and History's Mysteries coming up. But before that, let me play this quick ad for Charlie's Big Adventures Around the World or Not.
Something in the mail today. Can I open it up? See what it is? Look at that. Charlie, look at this. Look. It's you. Charlie's Big Adventures Around the World. We're gonna flip through it. Look at all that. Look at that thing.
Here they are.
To Danny's boy.
So now if you guys buy this in our Babylon Rising bookstore, you get a free signed copy for the same price. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If you guys want a special edition of the book, go there.
Check out our new and improved BabylonRisingBooks.com, where you can get Rob Skiba's books, bundles, DVDs, DVD-ROMs, videos, and so much more. You can even get Sheila and Jeremiah's books, so check it out now.
It's about that time for an all-new Opus Corner. Take it away, Opa.
Mein Hut, der hat 3 Ecken. 3 Ecken hat mein Hut. Und hat nicht 3 Ecken, dann ist es nicht mein Hut.
The strange, the bizarre, the unexpected.
These are the kinds of subjects a man named Robert L. Ripley challenged us to
believe it or not.
Believe it or not, you.
Wally, believe it or not.
Believe it or not.
Believe it!
You're a loony.
In 1958, the U.S. Army Air Force accidentally dropped an unarmed atomic bomb on a family farm in rural South Carolina, leaving a 50-foot wide crater. Whoops, sorry. Believe it or not. Mexican General Santa Anna, who captured the Alamo, is responsible for introducing chicle to the United States, which would eventually become chewing gum. Would you like juicy fruit or spearmint? Believe it or not. There is no conclusive evidence that Betsy Ross designed the first U.S. flag. Believe it or not. The Dymaxion car, designed by Buckminster Fuller in the early 1930s, was a three-wheeled, 20-foot-long passenger vehicle designed to reach speeds of up to 90 miles per hour and carry 11 passengers. Believe it or not.
It's crazy.
Roman Emperor Caligula once decreed that taking a bath is a crime. Anybody know where my clothespin is? Believe it or not. John Hancock was the only one of the 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence to sign it on July the 4th. Believe it or not. In 1913, Ty Cobb of the Detroit Tigers became the first baseball player to earn a 5-figure salary at a whopping $12,000 a year. Believe it or not. Archaeologists in Peru recently discovered a more than 120-foot-long, 2,000-year-old geoglyph in the shape of a cat. Believe it or not.
I believe it.
No grass grows around the gravestones of bank-robbing lovers Bonnie and Clyde. Believe it or not.
That's true, we've been there.
The first name of U.S. President Cleveland was not Grover. It was Stephen. Believe it or not.
Huh.
Yawning cools your brain. Believe it or not.
Yeah,
Circus Roncalli in Germany uses holograms instead of live animals. Believe it or not. In 1835, the New York Sun newspaper featured what is now known as the Great Moon Hoax, in which readers were told that man-bats and bipedal beavers were discovered on the moon with the aid of a powerful telescope. And so the hoax continues. Believe it or not. Steve Jenny of Illinois has kept Richard Nixon's half-eaten sandwich for 60 years. Why? Believe it or not.
Why not?
The FBI conducted a 2.5-year investigation of the Kingsman's version of Louie Louie. They couldn't understand the words. Was it profanity? a secret code? Something about the drugs? Believe it or not.
The German lowrider, also known as a stubborn sausage, is a fiercely opinionated, food-motivated species found in suburban homes. Despite being 6 inches tall on a good day, it believes it can and should run the entire household. This low-to-the-ground alarm system is powered by equal parts sun and cheese. Feared by mailmen everywhere and entirely unbothered by personal space, this wigglebutt wiener is not to be underestimated. This is the German lowrider.
Pick one. Pick one.
Did you know? The dachshund was originally bred to battle dragons. Okay, technically it was for badgers, but have you ever seen a badger? That thing's practically a land dragon. With their hot dog bodies and turbocharged determination, these fearless little sausages would dive headfirst into burrows like furry torpedoes of justice. Their bark? Louder than your neighbor's Harley. Their courage? Rivaled only by knights of the Round Table. Their legs? Shorter than your will to exercise, but don't be fooled. Those tiny pegs can zoom at Mach 3 when a squirrel dares to trespass in their kingdom. And fashion? Don't even get us started. From hot dog costumes to trench coats, the dachshund is basically the Anna Wintour of the dog world, only with more drool and fewer opinions on Paris Fashion Week. So remember, they may be low to the ground, but their confidence is sky high.
They're like the cats of dogs.
Go, Peppa, go on, good girl. Oh,
I just want to get my rib. Can I have my rib? I want my rib. Can I get my rib? I want my rib. It's my rib. It's my rib. It's my rib. I just want to eat. Can I eat?
Poor dog. Hope he's okay.
okay, it's recording. Okay. Get it, Toby. Get it. Get it.
Yeah. Okay,
let's
go.
Get it.
Yeah.
Ready? Get it.
Let's go.
Let's go. Wait. Wait. Wait, you gotta pay for it. Toby, you gotta pay for it.
Toby, you gotta pay for it. It's your birthday, buddy.
Wait. Where's he going?
You going to the car? You going to the car? Let's go then.
Let's go. You're not gonna pay? Huh?
Go to the car then. Come on.
You gotta pay. Okay. Let's go.
Max waiting for you.
Yes, yes. Now don't fuss. I have something for you all. Well, here's your problem, Marge. if you and Bob really want kids, next time try sitting on these little guys. Now listen up. We're going to do this alphabetically. Darn. The only way I can upgrade you is if you agree to be a flotation device for one of our first-class passengers.
Accurate.
I barfed in the very back of the closet. Should I post this for Throw Up Thursday or way back Wednesday? Oh, this is a tough decision. After 2 years, I'm finally getting used to the shared workspace. Same as the others, O'Neill. The flippers, the fishbowl, the frog, the lights, the armor. Just one question remains. Is this the work of our guy or a copycat? Clingy Cat Support Group. I love being around my humans all day. It doesn't make me any less of a cat. You're darn right, Sylvia. Anyone else like to watch their humans go pee? Should I send in SWAT? No. We have a subject threatening suicide. Let's just talk. Good heavens! Pablo got an F in art. Well, I'm just gonna go down to that school myself and meet this teacher face to face. $12.02, $12.01. So, try to have her home by 12, okay? The driving lesson came to a sudden, disastrous end. Ace Driving School. That traffic light just turned red. What do you do next? He's not bad luck at all. I was totally wrong about him, and is that for me? I love this guy. Regretting that burrito. Mom, Dad's talking to himself again.
Come in with the milk.
Dr. Seuss. I don't like Greek eggs and lamb. I don't like them at all, madame. Not with Hades, not with the ladies. Not as a treat on the island of Crete. I will not eat them, Persephone. I will not eat them. Let me be. The Kardashians were a sensitive bunch. I assume you're okay with plastic. The nerve! Rude! I'm so insulted! How dare you! What did you tell him? We already gave. Those open carry folks make me nervous. World's first sculpture. world's first art critic. Me call it Snowman. Me call it Waste of 3 Rocks. The Spinach Inquisition. What's your nutritional value? How do you know Popeye? What's the capital of Montana? Mom, I'm installing this in case you fall down and can't get up. Why do rabbits have such soft fur? Why? Because they use hair conditioner. Ugh. Wow, that would certainly explain why he let 3 of us on board. Can you give us a description of your son, ma'am? He's just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. He took the midnight train going anywhere. You getting all this down, Sergeant Perry? Egad! Another flat! Turtle World. Your pet will love it. I just bought a book from IKEA. Marie Antoinette's last-ditch effort to save her head. And ice cream. I said, let them eat cake and ice cream. I knew she was lying about her age. Engineers setting Stonehenge back 1 hour. And that concludes another Opa's Corner.
Mein Hut, der hat 3 Ecken. 3 Ecken hat mein Hut. Und hätt er nicht 3 Ecken, dann wäre es auch nicht mein Hut.
Opa's Corner is now available on my own YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you, Opa, for another great Opa's Corner. Now, a quick word from our good friend Kristen. I want to introduce you guys to somebody named Kristen, who's one of the biggest forces behind Skiba News Nation. This is Kristen. She helps us get all the big guests. I understand that you're doing this full time now, so how can people find out how to use your service?
Well, I started Fellow Helper Agency, and you can go to fellowhelperagency.com. And I do any of the behind the scenes, email, getting the interviews, and I do prep work for the shows as well. I do timestamps and moderating.
She is the best with connects. If you like any of our shows, any of our big guests, she's the person to go to. And if you have a channel, definitely go to our website.
So go check out fellowhelperagency.com.
And Kristen is the best. It's time for an all-new History's Mysteries. So a while back, it was either Jake or Opa, one of the two, brought up this sphere. Opa, if you could pull up this photo. And it was discovered in Colombia March of 2025, and it was seen flying, and it was before it crashed, and it was like a perfect sphere and all this, and in my mind I was like, oh my gosh, this reminds me of something from Unsolved Mysteries that I always found fascinating. And it had a lot of people saying that it was alien tech, some claimed it was man-made, but the crazy part is that sphere was found almost to the day 51 years later after what we're going to be talking about today. So today we're going to be talking about the Betz Mystery Sphere. So let's go ahead and dive in.
Terry Betz found on his island property this curious metal sphere, now known as the Betz Sphere.
Breaking news. In the spring of 1974, the Betz family stumbled upon a strange metallic orb in the aftermath of a fire.
A large brush fire swept across the property owned by Antoine and Jerry Betz. While assessing the damage, they noticed something very out of place.
Perfectly round, eerily smooth, and impossible to explain. It vibrated with music.
Playing the guitar, the sphere suddenly starts to come alive. It starts making humming sounds.
It moved on its own, and it terrified their dog. As the world watched, scientists, skeptics, and conspiracy theorists all tried and failed to uncover the truth.
They had the military and NASA come and look at this sphere to see if it was some kind of military device. Both of them said, no, we don't know what this is.
And after x-raying the sphere, they found out that it wasn't hollow, that there in fact were two spheres within that sphere.
On March 27, 1974, the Florida sun was just beginning to recover the land from a recent brush fire that had scorched parts of Fort George Island. The Betz family, Antoine, Jerry, and their 21-year-old son Terry, were walking their property to assess the damage when something unusual caught their eye. Lying in a patch of charred grass, untouched by the flames, was a perfectly smooth silver orb. Roughly 8 inches in diameter, about the size of a bowling ball, it reflected sunlight so cleanly that it stood out like a spotlight in the ash-covered landscape. It had no seams, no bolts, just one peculiar feature, a small triangular indentation about the size of a coin, etched on its otherwise flawless surface. They assumed it might be an old cannonball, possibly from the Spanish colonial era, as Fort George Island had deep historic roots. Intrigued, they brought it home. But from that moment on, their home and their lives would never feel quite the same. At first, the sphere sat undisturbed in their living room, a conversation piece. But within days, the Betz family began noticing strange behavior. Terry, an amateur guitarist, swore the sphere responded to his music. When he played near it, the orb would vibrate gently, producing a faint humming sound. Their poodle began avoiding the object altogether, whimpering and covering its ears when it came too close. Then there was the movement. When placed on the floor or on a glass coffee table, the sphere would inexplicably roll, sometimes in arcs, sometimes back and forth, and then come to a stop, as though it had a mind of its own. It never fell off the edges. In fact, it seemed to know when it was near them. Even stranger, when rolled manually across the floor, it would reverse direction, boomeranging, back toward the person who pushed it. The Betz family, puzzled and increasingly alarmed, tried to replicate the movement patterns under different lighting and heat conditions. Unsettlingly, they found that the activity increased in direct sunlight, but they were unable to explain why.
So on March 27th, the Betz family, March 27, 1974, I should say, the Betz family found it on their property. And I found it interesting that the other one was found, the most recent one, was March of 2025. And, it's just crazy how they thought it was a cannonball, and then it started doing all these different things, and it's documented. They have video and photos to prove it. So now we're going to be discussing who saw the sphere, what did they notice, and how their stories make the mystery grow. So check this out.
Eyewitnesses and escalation. What began as a quiet family curiosity rapidly spiraled into a full-blown media spectacle that none of the Betz family could have anticipated. It was a typical spring day when a photographer from the Jacksonville Journal, assigned to cover a lighthearted local interest story, arrived at the Betz property. Initially, he approached the sphere with a healthy dose of skepticism, just another odd trinket someone had found, probably nothing more than a piece of scrap metal or some discarded industrial waste. But as the photographer set up his camera equipment and carefully positioned the sphere on a glass tabletop, the unexpected happened. To his astonishment, and despite the glass's smooth, flat surface, the sphere began to move on its own. It rolled, almost deliberately, tracing patterns that seemed to defy gravity or any simple physical explanation. The man's initial disbelief quickly gave way to visible unease. His hands trembled as he captured the moment. "This is disturbing," he reportedly muttered under his breath. This wasn't just a static artifact. It was behaving in ways no one could explain. What should have been a puff piece for the paper had turned into something deeply unsettling. Word of the sphere's mysterious movement spread like wildfire after the article ran. Suddenly, the Betz household found themselves inundated with a steady stream of journalists, scientists, and paranormal investigators, all eager for a glimpse of the curious orb. Television crews arrived with bulky cameras and spotlights, setting up elaborate shoots right in the front yard. Ufologists, some clad in t-shirts emblazoned with alien motifs, were convinced this was undeniable evidence of extraterrestrial technology. They speculated about secret government cover-ups and interstellar messages encoded within the sphere's movements. Neighbors and casual tourists turned the quiet property into an impromptu pilgrimage site, coming from miles around to witness the alien orb for themselves. Some tried to touch it, and many debated its origin in hushed, excited conversations. The phenomenon sparked late-night radio shows and was debated in local diners, capturing a national and even international audience. Amidst this frenzy, the Betz family remained remarkably calm. Though behind their polite smiles lay a mixture of confusion and concern, they welcomed the influx of scientific and journalistic attention, hoping someone might finally offer a clear, rational explanation for the sphere's strange behavior. But what surprised them most was how elusive that logic remained. Despite repeated tests, theories, and investigations, the true nature of the sphere kept slipping just out of reach. What was meant to be a simple curiosity had become a baffling mystery that challenged the boundaries of science and reason.
So like every big mystery, the government normally steps in, they're like, oh, we want to see this technology, let's get some, scientists together and let's observe this, but that's not the case with this. And it's actually quite interesting how the Navy got involved, so let's talk about that.
The Navy steps in. Given the sphere's close proximity to the Jacksonville Naval Air Station, a major military installation just a few miles from the Betz property, Jerry Betz, always practical and grounded, began to wonder if the object might have some military or industrial origin. She was cautious but curious and decided to reach out to the U.S. Navy requesting that their experts examine the sphere. The hope was to have professionals with access to advanced equipment offer insight, perhaps bringing some closure to the bewildering phenomenon. Initially, the Navy was hesitant to get involved. Military protocols often discourage engagement in civilian curiosities, especially those that verge on the paranormal or unconventional. But after persistent inquiries and the growing media pressure, they agreed to perform a series of tests at their facility under controlled conditions. The examinations were thorough. The sphere underwent a battery of scientific analyses, including detailed X-ray imaging, metallurgical assessments, and balance studies to understand its physical properties. The X-rays yielded a particularly intriguing result. Rather than being a solid mass, the sphere was hollow, encased in a shell approximately half an inch thick. Even more surprising, inside this shell floated at least two smaller spheres.
And after X-raying the sphere, they found out that it wasn't hollow, that there in fact were two spheres within.
Perfectly shaped, smooth, and seemingly suspended freely within the cavity. Despite advanced scanning, there were no signs of electronic components, no traces of radioactive material, and no mechanical parts that could explain any kind of propulsion or movement. It was not explosive, and bore no markings or serial numbers identifying it as military equipment. Most importantly, the Navy concluded that the sphere did not belong to any of their operations or stockpiles. Their official statement described the sphere as a high-grade stainless steel object of unknown origin, probably manufactured for some industrial purpose. However, behind closed doors, Navy specialists speculated more cautiously. Some believed the sphere might be a giant ball bearing or a component from an enormous mechanical system, potentially related to maritime engineering or aerospace machinery, though no conclusive evidence linked it to any known device. Publicly, the Navy chose silence, releasing no further information and refraining from any speculation. For the Betz family and the public, this left the mystery unresolved, raising more questions than answers about the true origin and nature of the enigmatic sphere.
So of course, it being in the UFO craze in the 1970s, they linked it to UFO sightings and everything else. So next we're going to be talking about America's UFO fever. So check this out.
America's UFO fever. The 1970s in America were a unique crucible of anxiety, fascination, and suspicion. The Cold War loomed large over the national psyche, feeding a pervasive sense of paranoia that governments were hiding dark secrets from their citizens. At the same time, popular culture was undergoing a transformation. Television shows like In Search Of, hosted by Leonard Nimoy, brought fringe phenomena into the living rooms of millions. Stories of alien abductions, mysterious lights in the sky, and government cover-ups were no longer relegated to the fringes. They had become mainstream topics of discussion, fueled by a mix of genuine curiosity and fear. It was in this charged atmosphere that the Betz Sphere emerged, capturing the imagination of a public hungry for mysteries. The sphere's inexplicable movements, rolling on its own, seemingly resisting gravity and responding unpredictably to environmental conditions, made it ripe for interpretation through the lens of the UFO craze. For many, the sphere became more than just a peculiar metal ball. It was a potential piece of evidence in the growing belief that humanity was not alone. Speculation was wild and varied. Some enthusiasts insisted the sphere was alien reconnaissance equipment, left behind by visitors from another world to observe humanity without detection. They pointed to the smooth, seamless surface and the odd triangular indentation as proof of advanced technology beyond earthly comprehension. Others posited it was a covert Soviet surveillance device, crafted to gather intelligence in a time of geopolitical tension. This idea found traction amid fears of espionage and technological one-upmanship between the superpowers. Conspiracy theorists went even further, arguing that the US government was aware of the sphere's true nature, but actively suppressed the truth to prevent mass panic. Rumors swirled that scientists studying the object were pressured to keep quiet, or that the sphere was swiftly confiscated by secret agencies eager to control the narrative. Amid all this external speculation and media circus, the Betz family maintained a grounded perspective. They were not adventurers seeking fame or followers. They were ordinary people confronted with something they simply could not explain. Their primary concern was understanding what the sphere was and why it behaved so strangely, not becoming celebrities or icons of paranormal lore. They took careful notes, conducted informal experiments, and invited experts to examine the object.
I have no knowledge of how the sphere itself happened to be in the place where I found it, as I've stated previously when I found it.
Hoping to find answers grounded in science rather than speculation. Yet the sphere's association with the UFO craze meant that, regardless of their intentions, the Betz family became unwilling figures in a broader cultural phenomenon. The sphere's legend grew as it took on a life of its own, reflecting the hopes, fears, and mysteries of an era obsessed with the unknown.
So after all this attention it got, it just vanished. So we're going to be talking about that in this next clip, and I'm going to call it the Vanishing Act, because it just disappeared from the public.
The Vanishing Act. As the initial buzz surrounding the Betz sphere began to settle, responsibility for its study passed from the family to a cadre of more specialized independent researchers. Among these were notable figures such as Dr. James Harder, an engineer and scientist affiliated with the Aerial Phenomena Research Organization, APRO, a group dedicated to investigating unexplained aerial phenomena with a balanced and scientific approach. Another was the renowned astronomer Dr. J. Allen Hynek, who had gained prominence for his role as a scientific consultant to the U.S. Air Force's Project Blue Book.
In my association with Project Blue Book, I know very well that it was not a scientific project.
And who later sought to bring greater scientific rigor to UFO investigations. Both Harder and Hynek approached the sphere with cautious curiosity, aware of the sensationalism that often surrounded such objects, but open to any discoveries that could advance understanding. They subjected the sphere to various analyses and experiments, scrutinizing its composition, physical properties, and behavioral quirks. What they found was intriguing, but far from otherworldly. The sphere was made of a man-made material, an alloy similar to stainless steel but with certain unusual characteristics. The mysterious rolling movements, though baffling to the Betz family and lay observers, were found to be reproducible under specific environmental conditions. Subtle shifts in weight distribution, thermal expansion caused by temperature changes, and the acoustic resonance inside the hollow sphere could create motion patterns that appeared erratic and almost intelligent, but were explainable within the laws of physics. Despite these insights, the sphere's elusive nature, its tendency to move unpredictably, and evade full scientific explanation, continued to fuel fascination. And then, almost as mysteriously as it had appeared, the Betz sphere vanished from public view. Accounts differ on its fate. Some insiders whispered that it had been transferred to a university laboratory, where it was quietly studied without fanfare. Others suggested it had passed into private hands, perhaps a collector or a researcher who preferred to keep it out of the limelight. A more conspiratorial theory held that government agencies had seized it and archived it deep within classified vaults, ensuring that no further public examination could occur. Whatever the truth, after the late 1970s, the sphere effectively disappeared from all official records and public discourse. News articles dried up, and the object faded from the collective spotlight. Yet, despite the cooling of public interest, the legend of the Betz sphere never truly died. It lingered in the shadows of UFO lore and unexplained phenomena, a tantalizing reminder that some mysteries resist resolution and are still generating wonder decades later.
Now, every great mystery has skeptics. And for this last clip, we're going to be talking about the most popular theories and doubts around the Betz Mystery Sphere. So check this out.
Theories and doubts. As time passed and more minds turned toward the mysterious sphere, skepticism began to rise steadily among engineers, physicists, and other experts who sought to bring rationality to the puzzle. The fascination that once captivated the public started to wane under the cold light of scientific scrutiny. A series of logical, if unsatisfying explanations were proposed to illustrate the curious behaviors the sphere exhibited. Some experts suggested the sphere was nothing more than an industrial valve ball, a common component used in pipelines and various manufacturing processes. These balls are often made of hardened steel or similar materials and can appear perfectly smooth and metallic. If this were the case, the sphere's odd movements might simply be attributed to it being an ordinary object displaced in an unusual setting. Others focused on the curious internal sounds reported by witnesses, the clicking, humming, and occasional rattling noises. Acoustic engineers theorize these sounds could be the result of loosely floating internal masses inside the hollow sphere. These masses could respond to vibrations from environmental factors, such as wind or footsteps, creating a sort of resonance effect inside the sphere. The phenomenon might then be amplified by the surface it rested upon, causing the sphere to seemingly move or react on its own. The so-called boomerang effect, the sphere's apparent tendency to roll back toward its original position after being pushed, was explained by some as a trick of physics. Uneven weight distribution within the sphere or microscopic dents in its surface could produce unpredictable rolling patterns. What appeared to be defiance of gravity might instead be explained by simple, if peculiar, physical mechanics. Despite these plausible hypotheses, none of the explanations fully accounted for the totality of reports. Many eyewitnesses insisted the sphere displayed behaviors that defied conventional physics. Why, for instance, did the sphere appear to resist falling off surfaces where one would expect it to roll away? Why did its movements become more pronounced or erratic when exposed to direct sunlight? Multiple independent observers, including trained scientists and military personnel, recorded consistent behaviors that seemed inexplicable by known phenomena. The sphere's apparent ability to respond to external stimuli, almost as if it were alive or remotely controlled, remained an unsolved mystery. The growing consensus among skeptics was that the Betz sphere was just a ball bearing, a mundane industrial object whose movements were exaggerated by hopeful or credulous observers. Yet, for all the engineering rationales, the sphere refused to fit neatly into that category. There were too many inconsistencies, too many unexplained variables to dismiss it so easily.
Now, it's one of my favorite mysteries of all time, and if anybody knows where it is, I would love to see it. And so that's all I got for the Betz Mystery Sphere. What are your thoughts, Jake?
Yeah, man, I think it's crazy watching conspiracies around UFOs back previously, right? As like real time, more and more things start to be seen and stuff. It's like the things that used to freak me out, like, don't as much anymore. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. What about you, Uppa? Do you remember when this happened?
Yeah, no, I don't. I wasn't really a big UFO guy back in those days, but I don't know. This seems to be a Mattel toy to me.
A Mattel toy? It just reminds me so much of that thing that they found in Colombia, and I don't know. It just piqued my interest again. Like, what are these things? And they still don't know, but I don't know. So that's all I got for the Betz Mystery Sphere, but I have a new volume of Please Excuse My Sense of Humor, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy and laugh a little. So.
Today, being retarded means leading a full life. Retarded people go to work or school, just like this, and come back to a real home. A supervised home, right in the neighborhood, where they belong. Being retarded never stopped anyone from being a good.
If you want to be starting something, you got to be starting something. If you want to be
Roy, if you don't get your rump from my backyard talking about you start something, I'm going to start to put my foot in your ass.
Auf der einen blüht ein kleines Blümchen und das heißt
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now...
Nah, little homie. That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work.
You just we wanted to say
No, I believe in miracles, and a miracle has happened tonight. Think about being my baby, it don't matter if you're black or white.
That's your Dutch Bodie?
What's that?
That's yours?
Yes.
Yeah, what you got your restoration?
It's an older restoration.
And did you watch with your beanie needles on there? Do you know?
Any what?
Watch with the beanie needle? Tachometer, the magnetometers.
Oh, the speedometer.
Yeah.
The speedometer. Yeah, the speedometer cable don't work.
Oh, that's right. I know, because my grandpa, same thing. Once I put your beanie needle that you pins in the wall, get stuck on ours. Because I would travel all the way there. So from Montlake, Texas to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one time travel was just for gas. You knew about that?
Yeah. Yep, I have. A lot of people told me about it.
Yeah, well, it's cowboy shoes and these seats too. Once the cow said they upgraded, put your leather, and it was shot out. As you come on out, they made it down. It was called rawhide.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir.
Pardon me, Mr. Perfect!
Congratulations, but you know you want that shit. I ain't even gonna get mad. I'm young, but I can't rest.
Am I glad to be a citizen of the United States of America?
It's a problem for me, okay? I can't control it, okay? It's in my family. My father said it's on his side. I can't control it. I don't understand. I mean, it makes me very sad.
Today you're going to follow Jesus. And by 10 o'clock, I still want to follow Jesus, but I also want to slap the hell out of somebody.
Those must be comfortable shoes. I bet you could walk all day in shoes like that and not feel a thing. I wish I had shoes like that.
So I hope you guys enjoyed Volume 24. Please excuse my sense of humor. That last one just, when I saw it, it just made me laugh so hard. What do you think about the mashup of Dumb and Dumber and Star Wars?
Yeah, that was good, man. That was hilarious.
Yeah, if you know, one of them is the best movie ever made, and one of them is Star Wars. So, you know, that's what I gotta say about it.
Oh man, that's awesome. I liked the one about the wife Forrest Gump conversation. That was pretty
It's pretty accurate. So I like your shoes. Anyways, that's all I got. You got some memes for me, Jake?
Yeah, I got a couple.
All right, me up. Me up.
This is a constable in Britain who will throw you in jail for the memes you post on the internet. Dun dun dun.
Cornelio. It's like Beavis and Butthead mixed.
Oh man, I know, with like a liberal pit bull or something. All right. Hey, don't forget, COVID-19 was an inside yab. It's September, so.
Happy September.
All right. This was a really interesting video. It's not really a meme, but didn't really fit into the news segment that Sunday Cool Teas guys did on their podcast. I think it was really interesting. They talked about 3 different things that people will see long after we're dead, allegedly.
Yeah?
Did you know that there's 3 things that will be revealed after our deaths that exist now?
What do you mean?
What? There is a letter from Queen Elizabeth written to the mayor of Sydney, and she says, please don't open this letter until 2085. It's being held in a secret vault in Sydney, Australia.
What could be that important?
Oh no. It'll sign Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth.
That's insane.
Is it going to be something big? But then there's a movie called 100 Years, the movie you'll never see, starring John Malkovich, and it's to be released in theaters or to the public in 2115.
Really?
What if they know exactly what happens to us?
What if John Malkovich is a time traveler?
Weird.
And then the last thing, which was super weird, Jackie Kennedy's bloody pink suit. It's been held in a vault, secret. No one's allowed to see it. And they said they will release it to the public October 26, 2103.
Why? Why?
Yeah, so obviously I wanted to include that because the Kennedy reference there, and we're going to have our Truther Con there in Dallas, Texas, where that thing got bloodied. But what do you know about that jacket, Jeremiah? Why aren't they releasing that for so long?
I don't know why for so long. I know that she didn't want it in any museums or anything, and she had it folded and put in a box, put away, and she just never touched it after that. So it still has blood stains all over it and everything. So who knows?
Wow. Well, here's a meme here. The government wouldn't do that to us. Starter pack.
Yep.
Oh man. And once you recognize that they're constantly advertising to you the things that they want to do to you, as we cover very consistently in this show, check out this new piece of technology. So an engineer created an ad block for the real world with augmented reality glasses. This is the perfect combat to that They Live commercial. Just, it's the opposite. Check it out. Yeah, you'd be walking through certain parts of town. It would just be red block signs all the way down, right? Or you'd be at home just kicked back on the couch, and you'd just be watching the block square for hours and hours in between, your different, shows or whatever. Hey, in other interesting technology, I saw this clip, which is of China's cars getting windshields with built-in augmented reality navigation displayed. I mean, that is so cool. Opal, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool, man. But is that on the rear window or the windshield?
It looks like it's being projected on the back so that the person behind them can see what's going on in front of them.
Oh, yeah.
Like an integrated cooperative system.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to see in front of a car, and you get mad at the car in front of you, not realizing that there are 2 cars in front of them that are the ones that are messing up.
All right, that's all the cool stuff for this week, guys.
All right, thanks, Jake, for another great current news and memes as always. Open, thank you for another great Episode Corner, and we hope you enjoyed today's episode as a whole. Stay awake, not woke, subscribe, and stay tuned. If you like what we do here on Skiba News Nation, please like and subscribe, and also share with others so we can grow the biggest truth-seeking community on the internet. Huge shout out to all of our Patreons out there. If you like bonus content, you want some extra Skiba News Nation stuff, please go to patreon.com/Skiba News Nation.
Son of the legendary Lost Jeremiah Skiba.
It's like they don't even want to wake up.